Hare Krishna and welcome everyone to our weekly session on Sri Shodhisha. And will be a very interesting topic going on for discussion. We'll have hopefully a lot of opportunity for good discussion. So request everyone to make yourself comfortable, sit nicely. If you're multitasking, avoid doing that so that you can all participate in the discussion and encourage everyone to be ready to unmute and speak and contribute in the group discussion. It helps in both ways. It helps us get our concept clarified and it helps us, again, all of us benefit from your knowledge, from your reading. All the devotees in this group, uh, 29 of them are all, we know most of them personally. All of you are chanting session for many, many years. All of you are reading very regularly, hearing very regularly from all senior devotees. So all of you are all have a lot of wealth of knowledge and we should share. By sharing it increases. So we will all benefit when we hear from you as well. So and wherever such opportunity is available, we should make use of that. So with that, let's begin with the session. And we'll talk briefly about the overview. Where overview of Sri Upanishad. We have the invocation to verse 3 is we've broken it into sections, total 18 mantras in this book, and we have about 5 sections. So invocation to verse 3, section 1, which talks about primarily the instruction is to live in harmony with Ishvara. And if you don't, then you will suffer. So there is beautiful mantras. We discuss all of those. And we understand that the instruction, it's a clear instruction to live in harmony with Ishvara, not in disharmony. So whatever is the plan of Ishvara, make same as your plan, and then only you can be happy. Otherwise, you will always be suffering. The second section we spoke about, we concluded in our last session, last Sunday, we concluded this section, is from mantra 4 to 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 5 verses we discussed over 5 sessions. And this section primarily talks about if we want to know the Ishvara, if we want to live in harmony with Ishvara, then we should know who that Ishvara is. And that Ishvara is not visible and understandable to the material vision. We have material vision, which we empirically we want try to learn things. Empirically means with our senses we try to learn things. We also use inference, but predominantly our knowledge view is material. We are soul, but we are trapped in a material body, and we think ourselves as material. So everything we think, we see, view, and think from point of view of our enjoyment, material sense enjoyment. So with that kind of attitude, with that vision, we cannot understand Ishvara. So we need to develop spiritual vision. And spiritual vision, how to develop spiritual vision? We'll have to develop spiritual vision towards seeing the material world. And then eventually we will be able to direct that same spiritual vision towards Ishvara. And we discussed in our last session how it is done and what are the attributes that a person who has developed such spiritual vision, how he see Ishvara, how he's in his vision, how Ishvara is. And then we discussed in the last session beautiful characteristics of Ishvara that a spiritual person who has developed spiritual vision can see, which are not visible to us with the material vision. So then now we are coming to the third section, which will start today. This is the section of 3 comprising of 3 mantras, mantra 9, 10, and 11. And it talks about right and wrong Vidya for understanding Ishvara. The next section, which we'll discuss eventually, is from mantra 12 to 14, talks about right and wrong upasana from worshipping the Ishvara. And mantra 15, 16, 17, 18, the 4 beautiful mantras, talks about the prayers being offered to Ishvara to reveal himself to us. As a devotee, we want to, we come to a conclusion that we cannot understand Ishvara by our own effort unless he chooses to reveal himself to us, then we can understand Ishvara. And we out of love, we want to know Ishvara. Out of we have so much attraction that we want to know Ishvara, more about Ishvara. We have so much attachment to that Ishvara. Therefore, we want to know more about that Ishvara. And out of love, out of attachment, out of attraction, out of loving sentiment, when we approach Ishvara and we offer our prayers, then Ishvara, by his own speech, will reveal himself to us. So this is the section that we are that we will conclude the Ishopanishad discussion. So we'll talk about the word, the mantra 9 today predominantly, but we will take a look at this entire section overview 9, 10, 11, all the three verses we will see, and then we will discuss predominantly the verse 9. Verse 9 talks about the andham tamaha praveshanti ye ye avidyam upasate. Ye avidyam upasate tato bhuya iva to te tamo ya u vidyayam rataha. ye u vidyayam rataha. So andham tamaha pravishyanti. Andham means gross ignorance, and tamaha means darkness, and pravishyanti is enter into. And ye avidyam upasate. Avidyam upasate is avidyam is translated by Sri Prabhupada as nuisance. Upasate is worship. So what does it mean? Avidya upasate. Do you make a deity of avidya or a picture of avidya and then offer a arti plate with agarbatti, diya and essence? All that is offered to avidya. Is that what you mean by avidya upasate? We will see that when we come to that section. Tato bhuya eva te tamo. Tato bhuya ivate tamo. Tato means tataha, that then that bhuya still more eva, like te de tamaha, darkness. Ye ye those who you also avidyam in the culture of knowledge. Vidyam rataha, culture of knowledge. So basically, it is saying that translation, will see the proper translation, that avidyam upasate, those who are doing avidya upasana, those who engage in culture of nascent activities, shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worst still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. So here, the verse mantra is talking about Vidya and Avidya. And in short, it is saying that those who are acting with Avidya, or those who are Avidya upasate, those who are worshipping that Avidya, following the instructions of that Avidya, they will go into the darkest regions of ignorance. Okay, and those, but now in contrast, it is comparing, this is compared, those type of people are compared with those type of other type of people who are cultivating so-called knowledge, who are engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. So vidya rataha, vidyayam rataha, those who are trying to cultivate some kind of knowledge, they go into the even darker ignorance. So now it talks about two type of people. One is avidya upasana. They go into the darkest region of ignorance, and those who are cultivating knowledge or cultivating vidya, this mantra says that these people also go into the darkest region of ignorance. How does it mean? What do you mean? Let's see later. Now the mantra 10 talks about anya deva, anyad eva hur vidyaya, anyad eva hur vidyaya, nyad ahur avidyaya, iti shushrum dhiranam ye nas tada vichakshire anya Anyad eva evahur vidyaya. Anyad evahur vidyaya. What does it mean? Anyat different, eva certainly, ahur say, vidyaya by culture of knowledge. Anyat different, ahur say, avidyaya by culture of nescience. Thus, iti shushrum, I heard Thiranam from the sober, the who know to us that Vichachakshire explained the translation by Srila Prabhupada. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. So the previous verse was talking about the two type of people, one who are in avidya and one who are in vidya. And that previous verse, verse 9 said, "Now both these people will go into the darkest regions of ignorance. They will go to hell." Kind of, that's kind of a statement. And the mantra 10, it is saying that it is wise people have explained that one result is derived from Vidya and another type of result is derived from Avidya. So if you follow Vidya, one kind of result will be obtained, and when you follow Avidya, another kind of result will be obtained. The mantra 11, Suma Mata, you have any question, any comment? You have raised hand. Suma Mata, can you hear me? Is audio okay? Is there any problem with the audio?
No, Prabhuji, audio is okay.
Okay. Maybe by mistake. So we talked about 9 and 10, and we'll talk about 11 verses. So then we'll take a look at deeper look at 9th verse. We'll come back to the 9th verse again. Now, 11th verse, Vidya says that Vidya Vidyam cha avidyam cha. Yes, yes, tad vede bhayom saha avidyaya mrityuti vidyaya amrutam ashnute. Basically, it is saying that only one who can learn the process of nescience, that is avidya, and that of transcendental knowledge side by side. So one has to learn. It is now the third verse is saying that one should learn avidya as well as vidya side by side, can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So what is going on? How do you understand this section and what is really being trying to convey over here? So let's take a deep look at the word of Vidya and Vidya. All the three verses have this verse. These two words come repeatedly. So let's take what does it mean in each of the mantra. What does what these words really mean? What has been trying to convey over here by the through these mantras. So in mantra, so first of all, Vidya and Avidya and Vidya used in the three mantras don't carry the simple, straightforward meaning. So they have in all three verses, Vidya and Avidya carries different meanings. This is the first underlying principle that we need to understand. So in the mantra 9, avidya means ignorant pursuit of sense gratification. And vidya means knowledge for pursuit of sense gratification. So what is common in this? Mantra 9 is sense gratification, is the underlying objective. You do it in ignorance with avidya, or you do it with vidya. In both cases, the goal of life is sense gratification. And therefore, in the mantra 9, the author says that, the speaker says that both of them will, those who are pursuing avidya upasate, and those who are cultivating knowledge, both will go into the darkest region of ignorance because the fundamental objective for both of them is sense gratification. Now, mantra 10 talks about, now mantra 10 kind of combine both the cases, both type of people in mantra 9 who are covered in mantra 9, those who are ignorantly pursuing sense gratification and those who are with knowledge pursuing sense gratification. Both of them are combined into those who are pursuing avidya. And it the mantra 10 says that one type of result is obtained by avidya and another type of result is obtained by vidya. Now, in this case, the Vidya means knowledge of or pursuit of Krishna consciousness. Now, both mantra 9, the ignorant pursuit of sense gratification and with knowledge pursuit of sense gratification. Sense gratification, basically, pursuit of sense gratification is combined as avidya. And then it says that these people will obtain different kind of result and a different result is obtained by those who are engage in the activities of Krishna consciousness. In the third mantra, come to third mantra, the meaning of vidya remains the same, that knowledge for pursuit of sense Krishna consciousness. Now, that is vidya means knowledge for pursuit of Krishna consciousness in 11th mantra. But the meaning of avidya is changed, is to knowledge for bodily maintenance. Now, what does this third verse says that if you in order to cross the cycle of ocean of misery or the bhavasagar and go to the place where there is no repeated birth, the immortality is obtained. And in order to do that, in order to transcend to that reality, attain liberation, go back to Krishna, one needs to cultivate both avidya and vidya side by side. The word translation program exactly uses that. You need both, because if you live in the world, it's like if you are in the ocean, you need to navigate ocean to reach your goal. Similarly, if we are in this world and if we have a certain lifespan of say 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, whatever be it, now we need to cultivate knowledge for the purpose of bodily maintenance. Now, that is what is being described as avidya in the previous sections, previous mantras, but that is also necessary in order for one to cultivate Krishna consciousness. One cannot ignore body and just keep chanting, but that will not help because one will suffer in that process. So one has to perform activities in Krishna consciousness. Parallelly, one also need to maintain his body and his do duties for the purpose of his family. So the word avidya vidya remains same in all the three mantras, but their meaning is tweaked. If the meaning is changing with every mantra, and unless we have proper understanding of that aspect, it is impossible for us to follow the mantras on our own. Hence, we cannot understand the scriptures on our own simply by reading the text. Why? Because there is text and there is context. Unless we understand the context, we will not be able to follow what is being said. The Vidya, if you simply go by the dictionary or the translation tool, they may translate in some particular way, but they cannot decode you the context in which it is said. And the words have parallel meanings. Every word is dharma used in multiple ways in Bhagavad Gita. At least 4 to 5 different meanings are attached to the word dharma. The word karma, it has multiple meanings. So similarly, vidya avidya also has different meanings attached to it, and it depends on in which context it is used. The meaning changes, and therefore we need assistance in understanding scriptures correctly, so that, and therefore we have the acharyas or the guru who have heard this knowledge in parampara. They have big role to play for us for us to become devotees, for us to understand scriptures. Unless we understand scriptures, it will be impossible for us to surrender ourselves to Krishna. Unless we understand who Krishna is, it is impossible for us to do anything for Krishna, do of his bhakti, to become his devotee. It is impossible. So we need to understand Krishna, and understanding of Krishna is property, is owned. Krishna is practically owned by his devotees. acharyas, guru in parampara, they surrender in their heart to Krishna. And then what are they doing? They're dedicating their life for Krishna service. So they're serving Krishna with a dedicated in a lifelong mission. Serving Krishna is the only mission of their life. And therefore, Krishna becomes very pleased with them, and Krishna gives them additional intelligence, as it says in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tvam Yena Man Pantite. So, nobody can understand Krishna by their own endeavor. So, unless Krishna becomes pleased by our endeavor, our desire to understand Krishna, to know more about Krishna, and when we perform devotional service in that loving mood, तेषां सतत युक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं, not अप्रीतिपूर्वकं, not with jealousy, not with envy, not with शत्रुता, बहुत प्यार से हम भक्ति करते हैं। तेषां सतत युक्तानां, ऐसा नहीं कि once a week करते हैं, डेली करते हैं। सतत practically means spending 24/7, which is not possible for us to do. But whatever daily schedule that we probably would have prepared for ourselves, if we follow that, then even that becomes satata. But tesham satata yuktanam means actually practically doing things, not just thinking of doing things. One is practically chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One is practically meeting, talking to devotees, taking their guidance. One is practically physically visiting temples and and connecting with devotees in many ways. So that is yuktanam, bhajatam pritipurvakam, perform devotional service with loving intention. And then Krishna says, Dadami buddhiyogam tvam. I will see that endeavor and I will give them intelligence so that they can understand me. They can understand me, by which they can come to me. Dadami buddhi yogam tvam yena mam upayantute. By which, by using that knowledge, they can come to me. So, Krishna is property of his devotees. Krishna is generally available, but he is not generally understandable. He can only be understood to whom Krishna has given his special mercy. And he will give his special mercy, seeing special endeavor, special effort put in by his devotees. And when they do it lovingly and they do it dedicatedly, Krishna give them that intelligence to understand him in Tattva. With that knowledge, now these devotees possess Krishna with them. They have Krishna. Now, whatever they have, only they can give. And that's therefore we should always be eager to learn in parampara. If you are not learning in parampara, we are probably learning somebody's speculative mind. Whatever one has thought, one has speculated, we are learning that, and that will not help. We cannot we cannot understand Krishna by speculation. We cannot understand Krishna by guesswork. We cannot understand Krishna and by mental concoction. So it can be understood only when Krishna reveals himself to his pure devotees. By seeing, when he sees them performing devotional service in loving way, then he chooses to reveal himself to them. And when we hear from such devotees, when we read books written by such devotees, we get correct understanding about Krishna. And then we are able to dedicate ourselves to Krishna as well. So we must learn scriptures from a sincere guru in parampara. Otherwise, our effort can be wasted. So the quick overview of the purport by Srila Prabhupada for the verse 9. We are now going to discuss verse 9 only today, and we'll eventually go to verse 10 and verse 11 in our subsequent sections. So verse 9, which talks about, Prabhupada explains in the initial paragraph that why Vidya is worse than Avidya. And then in the subsequent paragraphs, Prabhupada talks about Avidyam Upasate, the concept, what does it mean? That is explained in paragraph 2 to 4. And Vidyayam Rataha is explained in the paragraph, starting from paragraph 4 till 9. Now, Vidyayam Rataha means those who are trying to cultivate knowledge. Those Prabhupada split these people into three broad categories. That one is doing sense gratification with ignorance. and one is doing sense gratification with knowledge. Then, and within that, there are three categories of knowledgeable people who are engaging in the sense gratification activities. Now, Prabhat, first category is that those of godless modern education, and we'll spend quite a bit of time on this aspect, discussing this part. What is godless modern education? And so, what does it produce? It produces a gross faithless materialist who believe that this world is only meant for sense gratification. There's no other purpose of creation of this world. And the world is meant for his sense gratification, and he should try and do that to the best of his ability. There's no other reason for creation of this world. Then there are some now they are faithless materialists. Now this first category. Second category is Veda Vadarataha. Vedavadarata people are those people who are trying to who are showing as if they are studying Vedas, but they only study those part of Vedas which gives provide for sense gratification. Verse 22, 2.42 we will discuss, which talks about 2.42 and 43, which talks about Bhogeshwarya Gatim Prati, that Bhoga and Aishwarya is the only goal, and perform sacrifices so that you can obtain bhoga and aishwarya of the best quality by even going to the heavenly planets. But this is what it is all about. The whole Vedas are meant to give superior quality and quantity of sense gratification. That is what the conclusion of the Vedarata people, and those who show as if they are studying Vedas, but their interest in Vedas is only limited to this. They neglect or exclude the parts of Vedas which tells us about the absolute truth and our need for our surrender to that absolute truth. So those parts they ignore. The third category, so this is second category. So first category is gross, faithless, materialist, atheist people who have no belief in God, and whose only goal of life is to enjoy their senses. The second type is karmakandis who consider Vedas authority, but who take up to the Vedas study of Vedas only for finding out how best they can do sense gratification in line with the instructions given by the Vedas. So they use Vedas only for improving the quality and quantity of their sense gratification. And the third category of people are Maya Apaharatam Jnanam. Now this comes in the verse 7.15, where Krishna is explaining the 3 to 4 type of people who will not surrender to him. And one of them are Maya Apaharatam Jnanam, as if उनका माया ने ज्ञान अपहरण किया है, अपहरता ज्ञानम Jnanam. So Maya has kidnapped their knowledge as if, and these are impersonalists who remove God from the teaching of Vedas. They said that there is a deity, but you need to go beyond deity to the impersonal Brahman or impersonal truth. So deities are temporary. Even deities are Maya, and we need to go beyond Maya to reject even deities at the advanced stage, and then go to the impersonal Brahman, which is all pervading, which cannot become a deity. It's deity is false. That is Maya Apaharata Jnanam. So the Jnanis who are cultivating so-called knowledge, Prabhupada translated it as so-called knowledge, they are broken into these 3 categories, and they are compared with those who are not who have a vidya or no or are ignorant anyway. So let's go through the purport. Now, Prabhupada writes that this mantra offers a comparative study of Vidya and Avidya. Avidya or ignorance is undoubtedly dangerous, but Vidya or knowledge is even more dangerous when mistaken or misguided. This mantra of Sri Ishopanishad is more applicable today than at any time in the past. This mantra is more applicable. Prabhupada is writing, Prabhupada written this book as part of articles, series of articles in the Back to Godhead magazine in the 1940s, and his disciples later compiled those articles and published it in form of a book. So he didn't write Ishopanishad as a book per se, but so he was writing from the time context. We need to understand that he's writing in somewhere in 1940s, maybe 1942, 43, 44. And there, Prabhupada is writing that Ishwat Mishra, the mantras applicable today more than at any given point, at any time in the past. Now he's seeing the condition of our country, the condition of the world in 1940s, and saying that this mantra is applicable today because we see everyone is trying to everybody is trying to is only in the pursuit of sense gratification. Everyone is only inclined to do sense gratification. The God consciousness was declining at that time, and hence we write that this particular statement. Modern civilization has advanced considerably in the field of mass education. He is giving credit that modern education, modern civilization has advanced. People were not couldn't study. The out of 1,000, those people who have completed matriculate or completed graduation were very few in older times when Prabhupada was student or he was in his college that time, and he see a mass improvement. Now more people of more number of people are getting graduates and becoming clearing his 12th standard, becoming matriculate, learning to read, write, etc., and communicate better. So he's seeing that improvement and he's giving credit for the achievement that mass education has improved. Mass education that people generally are literate. There are times that people were illiterate, couldn't even read, write, what to speak of graduation. So he's giving credit of mass education in the field of mass education. This is giving them the credit to to the people, but he's also pointing a problem. Now, while giving credit is one thing, but immediately he's quickly pointing the problem. But what kind of mass education is now being promoted? Now he has an objection to that. He's saying that, but the result that is that people are more unhappy than ever before because of the stress placed on the material advancement to the exclusion of the most important part of life, that is spiritual aspect. What is pointing out? People are more unhappy than ever before. You may remember he's writing in 1940s, not to speak of 1924 or 2024. People are in their worst kind of mental conditions even today. So in 1940s, people were unhappy, more unhappy than ever before. Prabhupada is very clearly writing. And he is blaming modern education for this reason. And what is the root cause? The modern education, while is focusing only on the material advancement, economic development, and at the cost, what is the cost? It is excluded the most important part of life, that is spiritual aspect. Because modern education does not focus on spiritual aspect, whatever progress, so-called progress it has done, it has resulted in making human beings more miserable than ever before. That is the net conclusion. Let's do an activity. What we'll do is sorry. So the order was wrong. So let's discuss. So the point Prabhupada made is that modern education is the root cause for today's unhappy state of mind of people. People are extremely unhappy, miserable. People are living a miserable life today than ever before. They are unhappy than ever before. People earlier used to be happy, even though they were less educated, they were happy. But now with this modern education, which has excluded from its scope the spiritual aspect, the most important thing in that is the spiritual aspect. And Prabhupada says that this modern education has excluded those spiritual aspects because of which people have become miserable than ever before. Let's understand. Let's discuss this part that when Prabhupada say first question, when Prabhupada says that spiritual aspects are missing from the modern education, what does it really mean? What is really missing? What does modern education today comprise? All of us have taken that education. We have done our matriculate, whichever state board or ICSE or whichever board we studied. And then, we've probably done our graduation. Some of us have done our post-graduation, professional degrees we have had, and all of us know law. We know Indian Penal Code. Generally, we know traffic law. We drive, most of us, and we try to follow all the laws. We generally have moral value. We know harming others is not good, and so on and so forth. We try to pay taxes, we pay GST, we pay income tax. We don't try to cheat as much as possible. We are generally good people. So what is the missing in this? Spiritual aspect missing. What is missing really? Prabhupada is what is Prabhupada referring to, and how does it matter? What if that what is considered to be missing? How does that matter? So two hands. We want all hands to go up. We'll start with Nupur Mataji and then Vikas Prabhuji. We have many, all these questions need to be discussed, so there are a lot of opportunity today. Yes, Mataji. What is missing?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी,
Hare
दंडवत
Krishna.
प्रणाम। यस प्रभु जी, जो भगवत गीता का वर्स है कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन, सो वो वर्स बहुत बिफिटिंग लगता है मुझे इस क्वेश्चन के लिए, बिकॉज एज वी नो दैट वी आर नेवर टॉट अबाउट गॉड, we are never taught about Krishna or Ram or any of the avatars of Krishna. So we just don't know about what spirituality is. We just know that we have to in schools we are taught to do hard work in studies, and we are the only cause of whatever will happen in our future. अगर if I'm very successful, or if I'm very poverty stricken, so that's only because of my endeavors. I fail to endeavor, I fail to do uh, मतलब मैं खुद ज्यादा कुछ कर नहीं पाई, तो उसकी वजह से मेरा सिचुएशन अच्छा नहीं होगा फ्यूचर में, और इनफैक्ट अगर मैं कुछ अच्छा कर पाई तो ही मेरा फ्यूचर अच्छा होगा। सो वो कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत ही डीपली रूटेड होता है हमारे कॉन्शियसनेस में, जो हमें स्कूल में पढ़ाया जाता है। तो वी आर नॉट taught कि there is the ultimate personality who is God, who sanctions everything whatever comes in our life. सो जब तक हमें ये रियलाइजेशन नहीं होता तब तक वी आर इन एंजाइटी कि अगर मैंने ये नहीं किया तो ये होगा ही नहीं मेरे से। सो मतलब अगर मैंने अच्छे से पढ़ाई नहीं की तो फ्यूचर मेरा खराब ही होगा। बट इट इज नॉट ऑलवेज ट्रू, बिकॉज मेनी ऑफ द पीपल आर देयर who study well, who are very very good at studies, but in future उन्हें कुछ हो जाता है, they are in anxiety, they are in depression. सो मुझे ऐसा लगता है प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा,
Okay.
दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna. Vikas Prabhuji, if you have anything to, what is missing in the when Prabhupada says spiritual aspect is missing? What is really missing?
Hare Krishna Prabhu ji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare
Mentions
Krishna.
that spiritual aspect is missing. So there, Hare Krishna Prabhu ji. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, it was breaking initially, but now it's fine.
So here actually what Prabhupada is mentioning is that the ultimate uh, goal of human life is to achieve the love of Lord Krishna, and which is nowhere touched upon in the academics for the modern education. They are not actually teaching us how to manage our inner self. They are just teaching us how to explore the limits of gratifying our senses in this materialistic world. So when these are not taught, so to whatever extent we can try to gratify our senses, the happiness doesn't come. And that is why it's since we don't touch upon the spiritual aspect in our modern education, that is why the people in general are not happy, and they are living under stress, under so many anxieties. So ultimately, till the time we don't realize that we need to work upon our spiritual front, that is how to love and serve Lord Krishna, we cannot be happy, and that is what is the part missing on this front, Prabhuji, when Srila Prabhupada is
Okay.
mentioning. That is
Okay.
my
So yeah,
my
all
concern
those,
means
yeah,
under.
thank you so much. Yes, Rajibir, what we'll do is we'll go through all individual items and we'll see how modern education contribute to these items. Okay, so all those who have raised hands, please continue raising hand. And
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
yes, Chaitanya.
Yeah, I think the answer is done, or still the comments can be added on the same.
We'll go through this and we can come back to the first part. We'll go
Okay,
through,
okay.
we'll take the stress. Stress is all time high. How do we understand that? How modern education has contributed to the stress?
Uh, okay. Should I tell on this or?
You can raise hand, Roji. I'll
Okay,
go one
okay,
by one.
okay,
I'll
okay, okay,
ask.
okay.
Yes. Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, in case of stress, it is like without spiritual guidance, students may find it harder to manage stress and anxiety, leading to increased mental health issues. Studies suggest that spiritual practices can significantly reduce stress levels and improve overall well being.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Swapnil Roji, stress, anything?
Modern education, Prabhuji, it always brings competition among the students, and competition to perform brings stress. So, Prabhuji, what I feel that modern education, rather than teaching them to be calm and peaceful, it teaches to perform and excel in academics, which brings lot of stress in students, and not just students but even the parents also. So this is the biggest flaw of modern education, where
Increases competition.
spiritual is not
But
part of the academic.
yeah, but what?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, what is in spiritual? How spirit? Which angle in spirituality will help overcome this? Competition is not necessarily bad, isn't it? So, which aspect of spirituality will help deal people with more stress or better stress?
Spirituality is spiritualism is the quality of a person which brings peace of mind, and he thinks rational rather than thinking more on the irrational or the materialistic achievement. Spiritual brings the inner calmness and peace, as per me, and that is major factor which is missing in the modern education.
Which give cause,
What
which results in stress. Okay. Yeah.
which yeah
Okay.
yes.
Anamika Mataji. Yeah,
Hare Krishna
bring it on.
Prabhuji, can I add one more point on this?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, see, this spirituality often provides individuals with a sense of purpose and meaning in life, so which can be a powerful antidote to stress. Understanding one's place in the world and having a greater purpose can reduce existential stress and anxiety.
Okay. Anamika Mataji, then Sulika Mataji, then Chaturji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
So
Krishna.
spirituality teaches us like how insignificant we are as an entity, which like is the basic is the base which reduces stress and anxiety. And that means we shouldn't focus on what we are focusing on is are very, very minute things. And what causes us stress are so minute in comparison to this entire universe, as Prabhuji, as we from yesterday's class, we have come to know very nicely. So that itself causes less stress, less anxiety in our life. So that is lacking in the modern education. So this is what I feel,
So
Prabhuji.
we might be
Krishna.
insignificant in quantity or size, but nevertheless we have desires, and we want our quota. So that's where that becomes the desires cannot be. What do we do with our desires? We want things. So Sulika Mataji and then Chetan Prabhu.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी एक्चुअली
Yes.
वही की स्ट्रेस है जो मटेरियल लाइफ में स्ट्रेस है वो मोस्ट ऑफ कंपटीशन से ही आता है और हम जो कंपटीशन करते हैं वो हमारे पीयर से या हमारे ऊपर जो है सुपीरियर इन मटेरियल सेंस वी आर डूइंग कंपटीशन विद देम एंड स्पिरिचुअलिटी टीचर्स अस टू बी अंतर्मुख यानी खुद को परीक्षण करो खुद को आपका लिमिट क्या है आपको कितनी तरह की किस लेवल तक आपको मटेरियल प्रोग्रेस करना है, और आपका अल्टीमेट एम क्या है, वो हमें स्पिरिचुअलिटी सिखाता है। तो हम कंपटीशन के स्ट्रेस से हम रिलीफ मिल जाएंगे इफ हम वी बिकम अंतर्मुख विद स्पिरिट।
Okay.
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Chetan Prabhuji?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Uh, See, particularly the modern education, if we talk about, so what the modern education has created, that we all are running in a race. It is created just like a race, that you have to just run, you have to secure the marks, either you have to score high in your offices, and you have to just see that how you can be ahead of everyone. So particularly this race, it has killed the concept of inclusive development and inclusive, you can say inclusive winning attitude. Like suppose today, for the for getting all the material, you can say for the material comforts, today we are destroying the nature, we are destroying the trees, we are destroying so that the even the in our surrounding habitat, we are not finding that even the sparrows, even the squirrels, these are now getting out of from our life. It is because that we are totally focusing on ourselves, and we are just running in a race. So there is no inclusive development or inclusiveness in our education system right now. So what the spiritual education says, that every that Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, what we called is, that whole planet is a completely family, and then we have to take care for everything. That is what is that is what it teaches us. So when when you think about the yourself as well as for the surrounding, automatically your qualification and your education system, it will become like in spiritual. This aspect is completely missing, because it is just teaching that you have to just run in a race, and you have to just win, and you have to be always ahead of the people. So this is a big disconnect between the spiritual educations, or the spiritual aspect, in the modern education.
Kaustubh, and then I believe yes, Kaustubh Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandar
Hare
Pranam
Krishna.
to this. So I think I'll tell what exactly spirituality education teaches us is that it teaches us that we have we can have good qualities. We are a part of divine. I mean, we have ansh of God, and we can connect to Him and serve Him, and these good qualities needs to be realized and needs to be grown to make ourselves pure, and so that we can attain the God. So without this qualities, there is no growth per se, and these things is not taught in the modern education. I mean, I have never seen that that these qualities can be grown through modern education. So I think this aspect is missing. So not having this understanding will lead to all that problem, that is anxiety, depression, crime rate. So the value of these good qualities and how they can help us to achieve the supreme God, if these are not understood, it can lead to all these problems. So that I think is missing in modern education.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very nice conversations. So, fundamentally,
Can I add?
yes, correct. Rashmi Mata, you also had raised hand, so you can also speak.
Uh, Prabhuji, I think
Very quick
modern,
comment. Yes.
yeah, yes, Prabhuji. Modern education, although has a lot of negative, but there's one positive aspect with the modern education is that it brings inquisitiveness in the young generation, in the people. Inquisitiveness is the major reason for humanity growth. Only thing is that inquisitive in one direction, which is materialistic, has risen to a level that we are materialistically growing in the society. The humanity is growing materialistically in the world. But inquisitiveness to achieve the final answer will lead many of the aspirants to move towards the spiritualism. I mean, that was one of the reasons for me also. I got into spiritualism, wherein initially, after having such a education and going through a lot of being in the corporate world, I was always thinking, what next? And finally, this inquisitiveness has helped me to come closer
So
when I was.
Inquisitiveness is innate to soul. Satchit Ananda is Chit is the knowledge seeking potency or knowledge seekingness of is innate to soul. You direct it to material side, it will work on the material side. If you direct it in the spiritual side, it will work on the spiritual side. But it is
Yes,
innate.
Prabhuji.
And
Yes,
just
Prabhuji.
like happiness, the bliss or the ananda seeking tendency is innate, ingrained in the soul. That's the nature of soul. So a soul always wants to seek knowledge. So he will always search for knowledge. I'm saying no matter which condition it is. So one principle I felt probably we can take and then move forward with the other aspect is important is the first mantra in the Ishopanishad which talk about Ishavasya idam sarvam yatkincha jagadhyam jagat. What it means is everything is owned and controlled by Ishvara. If you see, all these things are reason because we want to own and control the material nature. We want to own and control the sense gratification. And modern education encourage us to grab more, own more, control more, and it pushes us towards in that direction, which becomes then the root cause for all the problems which just are these are all byproducts of that problem. Why? Because a country will think I can grab other country. A person will think I can collect more wealth, I can collect more cars, more houses, I can so that I can ultimately enjoy more. So the desire to enjoy more and desire to control more is promoted through modern education. And the missing point is simply that everything is owned and controlled by Ishvara ultimately. And Ishvara will give us our quota, as Mukul Mataji was explaining that uh, we may desire whatever, if it does not have sanction of Krishna, if it is not approved by Krishna, we will not get it no matter how much hard we try, how much intelligent we think we might be. If it is not sanctioned, and whenever it is sanctioned, we will get it. When we get it, also it is not permanent that we will have it permanently, perpetually, forever. No, the day will come when Krishna will take it back also. And then we will be helpless. We will be helpless and we will have to give that up. So, yesterday, one of the class, Prabhuji explained the story of Avanti Brahmana. Extremely rich Brahmana in Avanti Nagari, and he was a miser. Miser means the one who does not like spending money. So extremely rich, but extremely miser, doesn't want to give up money, don't want to do any spending. He thought probably I will own this wealth forever in my life. And then he had his wife, his children. Everyone was extremely unhappy with him because of his miserly nature. You have money, why you live like a poor? Why you live like in a miserly way? Spend money, it's not going to go away. But so everyone was very unhappy, but everyone was stuck around with him, thinking someday either he will change or someday he will leave his body, then the wealth can become ours. So they all hang on to him. Eventually, during it event, such event took place that this Brahmana he became poor, he became penniless. All his wealth he had amassed and which he never wanted to spend just went away, just like that. And he became penniless. And then he was dumped by everyone. The wife and his children and his relatives and his so-called friends, they were all hanging on to him. उसको पकड़ के बैठे थे इसीलिए इसी होप से कि कुछ तो पैसा मिलेगा कभी तो मिलेगा. But the moment they realized that he's lost all his money, then they dumped him completely. And then he became alone. He was alone. And then he got these realizations that that it was never mine. It was never mine. And hence, I should not have been attached to that anyway. So we should also what does modern education promote? What does modern education teach us? How to It teaches about the world, it explains how the world functions, how our body functions, how the various processes in the system are in this cosmic processes they function. To the extent it is discovered, not that to the extent it is created by scientists. They're just discovering whatever God has created, whatever Krishna has created. And as they are creating, they are revealing, they are telling to others whatever little they know, they tell others in form of science. So they find out about how the universe function, how the world functions, and so that is what is being taught in the modern education. And then the second part that is taught is how to exploit the resources that are available in the world for our control and enjoyment. These resources, more you control, more you can enjoy, and that is being taught. And those are the things, and there's no knowledge of who the resources belong to. We may study solar system, but nobody asks the question that who placed these planets in this perfect position. That is not taught. And then so that is the missing link, and that is converting all those who are taking modern education into the sense gratifiers. Simply their goal of life is to do sense gratification. They have nothing, they have been never told that those planets, Gamma, Vishyata, Dharayam, Mojasa, that I enter into each planet and keep it floating in its orbit. Now this is what Krishna do. They don't know. Maya Adhyakshara Prakriti Suryate Charachara. They may be mesmerized by seeing accuracy in the nature, the beauty of nature, the beauty in which various system functions in the nature. They may be mesmerized by that, but this question has never been asked by them or been explained to them that who creates this nature, who create this cloud, with whose order sun is rising every day. The other day, last week, we were in Pune. I was in Pune and we saw a cloud. It was raining in Pune. Last 3-4 days it rained in the weekend, during the week. And we were seeing beautiful clouds were pouring rain in the city of Pune. Who made the cloud? How can you make a cloud? What are the ingredients with which a cloud is made? Cloud is made up of water vapor and dust. If you are given water vapor and dust, can you create a cloud in the laboratory? You can't. It's such a beautiful creation. It is floating water tank, which cloud get formed, created at one place, travel thousands of kilometers, and then give rain in some other place. Uh, Such a beautiful creation. And so we were never told. Now, this has been taught in all the schools, but what is not taught is who is creating this, with whose order this has been created, with whose order this all has been functioning, and to whom it belongs to ultimately. So, what is our role in it? We are supposed to take you are supposed to take your quota, and knowing fully why you should not encourage other person's quota, because knowing fully to whom it belongs to. So constantly, if in the school we are taught to whom these resources belong to, then the race to grab more of those resources will go away. We will be happy with whatever we get. We may try our best to get more, but ultimately what we get, we can be content with that if we have knowledge that to whom it belongs to, and by their wish, these are given to us, and whatever is our quota will be given to us. So that is Karmanya Vadikaraste verse reference which Nupamataji highlighted, and if we know that, then we will always be peaceful. Then there is no need for us to get stress, and there's no need for us to feel anxiety when we desire for some certain things, and if you don't get it, it leads to stress, anxiety, and depression. These are the byproducts that we have. Suicide is the next logical step that such a person may take. That if I have not achieved so and so, I failed in so and so exam. My relationship, I broke off in my relationship, and no, everything is karma driven. Everything is driven by the sanction of the Lord. Now, this knowledge is completely missing in the modern education because they have excluded God from the syllabus. They just don't want anybody to talk about God. And that is what is leading to all that is the spiritual aspect missing, which is resulting into stress, anxiety, depression, suicide, relationship issue. Same case. People are selfish. People are not ready to serve each other because everybody wants to have more self gratification for themselves. Even in relationships, these issues exist, and hence divorce rates are all-time high. Crime rates are at all-time high. People may have 100,000 followers on social media, but they are lonely because they can't share their heart with anyone, because they can't trust anyone. There's no trust. There's a big trust issue. So if you can't trust anyone, how will you reveal yourself to anyone? So even if you are sitting among 1,000 people, you are lonely. So loneliness is all-time high. This is big problem in India. What to speak of Western countries where this is very prominent. Addiction, everything, all of these things lead to addiction. Addiction. This is where people find quick relief. Addiction can be even watching TV. Addiction can be even watching pornography. Addiction can be even shopping unnecessarily things just to get a de-stressor. Just to get relief from stress, people go and shop. Just to get relief from stress, people get themselves into all kind of addiction, the alcoholism, the smoking, the other kind of addictions which are pursued is all for that. And even watching TV is addiction. Even watching unnecessary sports is addiction because people want to forget their real life problems, and therefore they get into zone where they can't recollect their all their problems. They can temporarily forget those real life problems and submerge themselves into some imaginary reality. So all those addictions are at all-time high. Mental health issues are at all-time high. Every school has a psychologist, and they are unable to give them help because they are not talking about God. If they will not talk about God, they will not tell the the law of karma. They will not tell about law of nature. Then they'll not be able to give proper answer to anyone. They will not be able to solve any of the problems of their students. And distrust among people is at all-time high because everyone is trying to grab more, everyone at the cost of even hurting others. So hence, there's no trust. The spouses don't trust, the children don't trust parents don't trust children. What to speak of other relationship where the trust is completely at all-time low. So this is the disaster that modern education is causing. So that's why the need to give education of Bhagavad Gita, what Bhagavad Gita is teaching, is at all-time. The need for us to tell people about Krishna consciousness is at all-time. Need for people to tell about the law of karma is at all-time. So when a student fail in a particular exam, he can blame himself to the extent he has not studied it properly. But the law of karma and the law of Bhagavad Gita knowledge will help him understand that if that is his daiva, if that is being sanctioned by, if that has not been sanctioned by law, he will not get it. So he has to accept the result as a karmic reaction to his own karma, and then move on, try some other career, try some other this thing, or try some other, and try the same thing at some other time. Maybe at next time it might get successful. So when we understand the role played by Krishna in our hand, in our life, the stress level go down with the knowledge, not otherwise. Otherwise, we'll always think we probably didn't try properly, or somebody cheated me, or it is it will be quick to blame ourselves for everything wrong that is happening with us. With the same eagerness that we want to take credit for everything right, whenever everything right happens, we all want to take credit. Similarly, when everything bad happens, we take the blame, and byproducts of that blame that we take unnecessarily. We have a role. We if we have not tried properly, if properly, if our efforts were, if a student doesn't study and if he fails, he has himself to blame. But after studying to the best of his ability, student may still fail. If he's not approved by Krishna, he may not clear, or he may not get the same marks that he was expecting to get. So there are various ways in which Krishna playing his hand in our life, and unless we know that, uh, we are unable to appreciate things when they happen to us. Then we will be quick. The world will quick. Well, world will be quick to blame us, and we will eventually blame ourselves. And these are just the byproducts of that blame game. We'll blame ourselves, we'll be stressed, we'll feel the anxiety, we'll go in depression, we'll commit suicide, the spouses will divorce, crime will happen, loneliness will be there, addiction, mental health, distress, and many, many more things will follow. And all that is because there's no spiritual education given. So let me just pause here. If we'll see if anybody has any quick comments to make, or we can move forward. I see three hands. So Sudeep Prabhu, want to say something?
Hare Krishna,
What we
Prabhuji.
discussed
Thank you
just
so
now?
much.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Prabhuji, the more we look into these points, the more I get connected to yesterday's class, what Narottam Prabhuji was again and again telling by way of examples also, that what we are missing nowadays is humility and also sacrifice. So then these are things which are not taught in the modern days education, to be humble and to make sacrifice. And most of these points which I see here are result of those, that we are not prepared to remain humble and we are not prepared to sacrifice something which we are holding on to for material gains.
Yes, thank you, Prajit. Thanks for sharing. Yes, humility. Again, the knowledge is missing. Why will I become humble? I see everyone grabbing more, trying to grab more for their own self. Then why will I try to become humble and serve others? So selfish mentality will get replaced by service mentality only when we have knowledge about the Ishavasya principle. So that way, the knowledge, this knowledge is they go in first, and as a result, uh, we know that to whom it belongs to, and then we generally develop humility. We generally develop. We then realize how small we are compared to everyone else, everyone else, and Krishna himself. And then naturally, the service attitude gets developed by knowing our smallness and understanding Krishna's greatness. The service attitude comes, and then we can start giving respect to Krishna. We can start giving respect to devotees to whom Krishna is revealed, and we can progress towards spirituality. But without this knowledge, it is just grab more, enjoy more mentality. It's just animal world. So that's where we feel all these we feel from all these problems, suffer from all these problems. Yes, sir. Vikas Vaji, Chetan Vaji, Satyan Vaji, if you have quick comments, very quick comments, we need to move forward.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So as you emphasized that about quota in another class also and today also, so I was contemplating on 2-3 examples that came across in my life at least, that A very intelligent person also couldn't get to what he desired, and a very insignificant person, means the two example that I've seen on the contrast, he got so many things. So I was just trying to make it like comment on this, that this is very much true in our life as well, that as you mentioned, the quota whatever is there will come. And I've seen means couple of examples right in front of my eyes that coming true, that whether he and one person endeavored a lot and the other one didn't do anything and he got a lot more than what was actually not permitted to him as per his
Yeah, as
actions. So
as
those intensifies our faith, belief on the words of scripture, that this is going to happen, that whatever is there will come. So why to take anxiety and stress of what I am not getting, or why to be in that competitive mentality, that he has got that kind of luxury and I am facing this kind of miserable situation. And the case may not be so that the one who to whom we consider that he is in the miserable situation, he will be in the inner engineering, he may be so much of with so much of blissfulness that I have got nothing to do, so I can serve Krishna more and more, because my more time can be invested there. Hare Krishna,
I'll give
Prabhuji.
you a quick example, brought up this beautiful point. So basically, I was listening to one interview of Kamalochan Prabhuji. Kamalochan is president of Miraro Temple, and he was telling how he came to Krishna consciousness, and he was saying that he did marine engineering, and he said, I went for interview. There was some written exam followed by some interview, and in the interview for a marine engineer, they showed a ship, and then he said, I was so ignorant, I knew nothing about ship, and I couldn't even correctly point out which is the front portion, which is the back portion of ship. There was a model, ship model kept there in the room, and they asked me there, and it was so apparent that I made mistake in that also, and then I was sure that I will not get selected for this course, but to his surprise, he was selected. An engineering student who couldn't even rightly point out which is front portion and which is back portion of a shape got selected for marine engineering. And there must have been many who probably would know all these things and would have not got selected. So very, very aptly said that that is what actually triggered in his mind who is in control really? Am I in control, or is this somebody else controlling my life? How could I get selected for marine engineering by making a mistake, this such basic mistake also? So that is one thing. Another thing I could comment on what basis what you said is that sometimes we think I should have mango. Okay, we sit and then we desire for mango, and then we try for mango. But if Krishna does not Krishna does not want to sanction mango, but Krishna want to sanction apple, and he gives us apple. Now we wanted mango, but we got apple. Now instead of relishing apple, we crave and we take a stress that how could I not get mango? I wanted mango and I could not get mango, but I have got apple with me, which is also equally delicious, which is very ripe, perfectly good condition. I can taste it, relish it. Instead of doing that, I'm crying and cribbing for not getting a mango. Then I see somebody else walking around with mango, and I see that person got mango. He should have never got mango. I deserved mango, and I'm getting apple now. I'm very unhappy with my apple, but there is somebody who has not got apple also. He will become extremely happy if he gets that apple. But when we have a desire for mango and we get apple, now what Krishna will give us depends on Krishna. What we may demand from life is in our is as per our wish or our inclination, our consciousness. But what Krishna will give is completely as per Krishna's will. So if Krishna doesn't want to give us mango, but want to give us apple, he will give apple now, and then it's up to us how we accept it. If we accept it with gratitude, that many don't even have apple. So I'm at least having apple. So Krishna, you have been so merciful. Though I wanted mango, but maybe you want me to give you apple, I'll take apple, I will relish apple. I'll be thankful for getting apple from you. So if we can have that attitude, it will not give us stress. It will not create anxiety. It will not lead us to the depression. It will not force us to make suicide just because I got apple when I wanted a mango. And what I'm saying is, all these things are created because we don't understand the function of this universe completely. We may understand law of gratitude. We may understand the cycle of weather. We may understand the water cycle and oxygen cycle, and we may understand some of our bodily processes, how they function. But how the whole universe functions, how the law of karma functions, we have no knowledge of. And we want to deny existence of Krishna. Then how can we give this role to Krishna to play to sanction our karma? To sanction whether I should get mango or I should get apple? How can I let Krishna decide that? Then that will make us disempowered, which will make us weaker. It may look weaker. I may appear weak in front of others. Those, especially those who have been given a mango in front of them, I will appear to be weak. I don't want to do that. So modern education has conveniently excluded these aspects. But these are undeniable. But modern education doesn't talk about it, and that's why the more people get educated, more miserable they become. In fact, that unfortunately becomes true. Moving on, we can come back to this discussion towards the end if we still have any comments to make. Prabhupada writes that, we'll discuss this. All these things are all-time high in the history of mankind, and they are byproduct of so-called our modern education, which puts entire emphasis on knowledge about the world, how to manipulate the resources of this world, and do not tell them anything about the person who created this world, and what is the purpose behind creation, and what is our duty towards that person. When I get to know that I may demand mango, but I am given apple, then the question is on what basis? The next logical question is on what basis this is decided. And that leads to the further knowledge that there is a law of karma. And the law of karma produces a fruit. Every action of ours produces a fruit. Every fruit fructifies in due course of time. As a result, whenever it is ready, I get a result. I get good, bad, ugly results. And that's how. Then the question is, who decides this? Is that fair? Is that person fair? Is there a person who deciding it, or there is mechanics? It work, but nothing in this world works automatically. Behind every automatic system, there is human brain. So similarly, behind this so-called automatic nature, there is a supreme brain, and that is how logically one may come to God. More one understand the universe, more one will be forced to get convinced about the presence of God, who is behind all this creation. People today are more comfortable than ever before. They are living in air-conditioned homes, living in airplanes, cars, but they are more unhappy. They say that they are guided missiles. We have very guided missiles. We can press one button and we can actually design a path for a missile to travel few kilometers and hit a particular target with great accuracy. So we have guided missiles, but we have unguided men, unguided minds. The minds are uncontrolled minds we have, who doesn't know what to do with their life, who doesn't know what can make them happy, and therefore they perpetually live in unhappiness. Prabhupada writes, Vidya was explained in the first mantra, very clearly says that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything. Forgetfulness of this fact is ignorance. That is avidya. When we forget that God, Krishna, Isha Vasya Idam Sarvam, Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat, everything is owned and controlled by Ishvara. When we forget that, then if you forget that aspect, then immediately the next thought can come to our mind is that I also can own and control and enjoy everything. Then let me try more, let me try harder. And when I don't get the success, I feel miserable, I feel stressed, I feel depressed. So the forgetfulness of the fact that Ishvara is the controller, owner, and the ultimate enjoyer of everything, that is ignorance, that is avidya. And when that happens, then our life becomes miserable. This is darkness. We may be living in a, we don't realize that with this kind of mental illness, with this kind of mental sickness, we are also living in the, this is like living in darkness, like living in ignorance. So that is the root cause of our miserable condition. In view of this, a godless civilization directed towards the so-called advancement of education is more dangerous than a civilization in which the masses of people are less educated. Very beautiful purpose, right? Of these different classes of men, Karmi, Jnani, and Yogis, the Karmis are those who are engaged in the activities of sense gratification. The modern civilization, 99.9% of the people are engaging activities of sense gratification under the flags of industrialism, economic development, altruism, political activism, and so on. All these activities are more or less based on satisfaction of senses to the exclusion of the kind of God consciousness described in the first mantra. Avidya upasate, what does it mean? Do you make a picture of avidya and offer agarbatti, deep, or how does it work? Avidya upasate. So Prabhupada gives a very beautiful term for this: profitless pursuit of sense gratification. Prabhupada gives a pointless term in the purport that profitless, there is no profit. Why no profit? Because no matter how much sense gratification you desire and you actually get, the desires will keep increasing. They just keep multiplying. So your capacity to enjoy in this body is also limited. You may, but your desires can be unlimited, and therefore you will always feel miserable. You will always feel stress for not getting enough, and you'll always feel disappointed. So the profitless, what is the profit? There's no profit. The effort is so much and the pleasure is so little. The cost benefit analysis we talk about, there is no, the cost is so much. You invest so much of your mind, brain, intelligence, consciousness, thoughts. You invest so much into it, and then what you get is so, it's so little, or so you may not get it also in many cases. So, and that's the case with any sense gratification that we are pursuing. We want desperately in our life, and that is the result of that. So Prabhupada writes, in the language of Bhagavad Gita 7.15, people who are engaged in the gross sense gratification are mudhas or asses. As is a symbol of stupidity. As means, we discussed last session that as Prabhupada used to use this word quite often. It means donkey. So it's a symbol of stupidity. And those who simply engage in the profitless pursuit of sense gratification are worshipping avidya, according to Sri Ishopanishad. 7.15 verse, Nama Dushkutu no Mudha, Prapadyante Naradhamaha, Mayaya Aparata Jnana, Asura, Svabha Mashuta. So this 4 type of people who will never surrender to Krishna. Krishna gives the list of those 4 people. So who are these? So how are people doing this avidya upasana? So people actually practically worship movie stars. We see temples. We see temples of movie stars. They've been given a godly status, and whenever they come, the thousands and thousands of people go there to cheer them, cheer for them, clap them, and they give as if they take darshan of that movie star, as if they're taking darshan of some demigod or some god. And that is what happens with the movie stars, sports stars, music icons, business icons, political leaders, and the practically given status of that is normally should be given to God. So they're popular. Why they are popular? Because they provide sense pleasure. What does a movie star do? A good-looking, a beautiful movie star. What do they provide? They provide sense gratification. They provide sense pleasure. A sports star, a music icon, business icon. They will give. They provide, in simple language, they provide some sense pleasure, and as long as they continue doing that, they remain popular. However, they can't do that for for all their life. As the age progresses, they stop performing, they get disfigured, they stop providing the sense pleasure, immediately they are thrown aside. And new icons are found and they are worshipped. Some heroines were number one, some heroes were most good looking, getting selected as most good looking people in the universe, in the India. And they were there doing that for that was happening probably for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Eventually, they will get disfigured, they will get, they will not look as good as they used to be, and eventually newer people will come. And as soon as new people will come, these people will be dumped. The older generation will be dumped, and they'll be forgotten. And we see that practically in Bollywood and Hollywood, everywhere that's happening. And that is what is the nature of this world. So this is avidya upasana. This is upasana done only for the purpose of sense pleasure. As long as pleasure is there, I'm ready to worship this deity. And as soon as I stop getting sense pleasure, I kick the deity out and I bring a new deity. Now this is avidya upasana. So there's a beautiful example that Prabhuji gave in one of the classes, that George Harrison was staying in a hotel and he used a towel during his in his washroom, and then that hotel manager made 8 pieces of that towel and he sold it in an auction for a very high price. Why people bought it? Was it it is getting the same value that we will attach to a flute played by Krishna. If that flute is found somewhere, this flute was touched by Lord Krishna's hand and lips. If you come to know, then and if that flute were to get auctioned, it will naturally fetch a high price, because then it becomes very sacred item. So, but a towel used by a music icon like George Harrison, even that became a sacred item, and commanded a very high price. What is happening? Why people are buying that piece of cloth? Because they want to do avidya upasate. Yeah, this is avidya upasana of avidya. Prabhupada writes, this will give no profit, as no matter how hard they worship these music icons, they will never get realization. They will never, these music icons, they are promoting sense gratification. So those who are following them, obviously they will not go beyond the cycle of birth and death by following these music icons. So the music icon will remain here, and if anybody focuses them too much on them, they will also remain here perpetually, blocking their possibility of advancement on the spiritual path and going back to Krishna completely. Prabhupada writes in the purport that advancement of learning by a godless people, by godless people is dangerous, is as dangerous as a valuable jewel on the hood of a cobra. That Prabhupada writes that talking about modern education, that a godless person, the more educated a godless person becomes, more dangerous he can become. And the Prabhupada compares by giving an example of a valuable jewel on the hood of a cobra. A cobra decorated with valuable jewel is more dangerous than the one who is not decorated. So in the Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya, the advancement of education by godless people is compared to decoration of a dead body. So the advancement in education is not criticized here. We need to understand what is criticized, what is the point Prabhupada making constantly. It is not, Prabhupada is saying that it is not necessary. See, the advancement in technology is not necessarily bad. Godlessness is bad. Advancement in science, medicine is not necessarily bad, but godlessness is bad. Everything, when you have a God consciousness and when you appreciate God's creation and then you learn a particular stream, you are able to appreciate and glorify God by studying that stream as well. So by if once somebody Newton discovered law of gravity, now he didn't create a law of gravity. He only discovered. But if he is a godly person, he's understanding of God, and he has the understanding that God has created this, then his appreciation for God will increase the moment he discovered that law of gravity. That's such a beautiful law. Such a beautiful law which works so perfectly. And his appreciation for God who created that law, who is making that law function all across the world, will increase immensely. Then, and so that will make him actually more God conscious. A scientist studying structure of a rose flower will be amazed to see how beautiful the whole arrangement of petals is. How uh, how from the same bud, same soil, a beautiful fragrance is put into a flower and a very sweet taste is put into a mango. The soil might be same. These two trees could be next to each other. But one has a beautiful form and beautiful fragrance, and one has a beautiful shape and beautiful taste. Who is creating it? If one just study these two objects, imagine how much how much their appreciation for God will increase, because they will understand by simple logic that somebody has created it. It does not come up by chance. How blood gets circulated into each and every part of our body, how food get digested, uh, and and uh, and the nutrition is supplied to each and every part of our body. Is great mystery even to the modern scientists today. The whole digestion process, how the whole body works, it's still not fully discovered. And but more people discover the same simple human body, our own body, more amazed they become with the complexity of the whole structure that is being put, and which works so perfectly, so beautifully. So, so the more we, so the so the God consciousness is fundamental. If you're God conscious and if you're studying modern education, you can still continue to do the same discoveries. You can still continue to do the same inventions that you are doing today, but in a God conscious, when you do it in a God consciousness way, your appreciation for God increases. You go closer to God. In the today's world, we are going away from God. By educating ourselves more, we are going away from God. That is the fundamental point Prabhupada has made. Prabhupada writes further, some people follow the custom of leading a procession with the decorated dead body for the pleasure of lamenting relatives. In the same way, modern civilization is a patchwork of activities meant to cover the perpetual miseries of material existence. And we discuss a list of those miseries of material existence, a brief list, there could be more, but this is a patchwork of activities just to cover those miseries. Prabhupada writes further that all such activities are aimed towards sense gratification, but above the sense gratification is the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence, and above intelligence is the soul. The verse 3.42 in Bhagavad Gita tells this. Thus, the aim of real education should be self-realization, realization of the spiritual value of the soul. Any education which does not lead to such realization must be considered Vidya or innocence. And to culture such innocence must go down in the darkest region of ignorance. Now we come to the second part. Second part is the first part of this mantra is those who are in avidya, they go to the darkest region of ignorance. And then the second part of this vidya, this verse is those who are in knowledge, they go into the darkest, more darker region of the ignorance. So here even vidya is criticized. How? Generally vidya, people will say that vidya is good, knowledge is good, avidya or lack of knowledge is bad. But how vidya can become a problem? Let's see that. So if you're driving, if you don't know the rules of driving in a particular place, then one should not be driving. But if one is driving without knowing the rules of driving, no, that is bad. But What is more bad is when you are driving, you don't know the rules. You've gone to another country, you don't know how to drive, what are the specific rules of driving rules for that country, but you claim that you know the rules and then you try to drive. Now that is even worse. First is bad. The second is more bad, and the third is when we when we when we condemn others who are doing right things, saying that you are doing wrong thing. That is worst. So we'll see that by way of an example. To be in ignorance is wrong. To be in ignorance but claiming to be in knowledge is more wrong. And then to be in ignorance but claiming to be in knowledge and condemning those who are pursuing right path is the worst thing that we can do. So another example looking at it is, if you are traveling, maybe if we want to go somewhere, and if this is the right path, but we are taking this path, we don't know the way, and hence instead of taking this right path, we are taking this wrong path. Now this is bad. We are taking wrong path. We may go walk for a long time. We may realize that we are on the wrong path. Then we have to revert, come back to the same point, then start on the right path. So it's this is bad itself. Now one may not know and one may mistakenly walk on the wrong path. That is one thing. Then one say that, okay, I'm going on the wrong path, and I'll start calling other people also, come with me, come with me. Thinking as if telling, showing that as if I know the right path. So one, I'm wrong, and second, I'm taking people along with me on the wrong path. That is another more wrong. Then some people I see who are going on the right path, and I tell them, you fool, why you are going there? Come with us. We will, we come with us, and then you criticize those who are walking on the right path also, and then condemn them, and that is even worse. So this is what will happen when we get Vidya, and so being in Avidya is one bad thing, but being in Vidya is even worse. Prabhupada writes, according to Bhagavad Gita 2.42 and 7.15, mistaken mundane educators are known as Veda Vadarata and Mayaya Apaharata Jnana. 2.42 verse, Yamima Pushpita Vacham Pravadyanta Vipashchitaha Vedavadarataha Partha Na Anya Dastiti Vadinaha. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various spiritual activities for the elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. This is using Vedas for the purpose of sense gratification. Those who are Vedavadarata pose themselves as very learned in the Vedic literature, but unfortunately they are completely diverted in the purpose of Vedas. In Bhagavad Gita 15.15, it is said that the purpose of Vedas is to know the personality of Godhead. But these Vedavadarata men are not at all interested in the personality of Godhead. On the contrary, they are fascinated by such fruitive results as the attainment of heaven. So these Vedavadarata people, they are, instead of knowing about Krishna, instead of trying, they are studying Vedas for the purpose of getting more sense gratification. Just for the purpose of improving the quality and quantity of their sense gratification. Now, one gross materialist, faithless person try to do it on their own. Now they are a faithful person. They understand the importance of Vedas, but they are utilizing Vedas only for the purpose of getting sense gratification, not ignoring the aspects of liberation, understanding the nature of God, and those aspects which talks about the liberation or going back to God. The purpose of all Vedic literature is to awaken this God consciousness in the forgetful living being, and this same purpose is presented in various ways in the different scriptures of the world for the understanding of the foolish mankind. So Prabhupada writes that all scriptures of the world, main scriptures of the world, the same thing is presented, that awaken, the purpose of life is to awaken God consciousness in forgetful human being. There's no, in the fundamentally, there's no difference in the scriptures and our Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures. They fundamentally talks about the same thing. And thus, the ultimate purpose of all religions is to bring one back to Godhead. This is the ultimate purpose every religion talks about. But the Vedavadavata people, instead of realizing that the purpose of Vedas is to revive the forgetful soul's lost relationship with the personality of Godhead, take it for granted that such side issues as attainment of heavenly pleasure for the sense gratification and the lust for which causes the material bondage in the first place are the ultimate end of Vedas. So they mistaken Vedas to give only the knowledge about sense gratification and ignore all that what is being provided in the Vedas, which talks about the supreme personality of Godhead, talks about our relationship with Him, how we should surrender to Him, how about His greatness and our smallness, and then our need to surrender to them and go back to them so that you end the repeated cycle of birth and death in this material world and become permanently happy in the company of God in His service. Now, all that information is also available in Vedas, but these people whose fundamental desire is to do sense gratification, they ignore that aspect of Vedic education and only take what is convenient to them. That is cheating. You should take the entire thing, or you should not take that at all. So they take what is convenient to them, ignore what what they are not interested in, and therefore all their they go into the darkest regions of ignorance. Such Vedavadaratas are especially condemned in this mantra by very appropriate Sanskrit word Vidyayam Rataha. Vidyayam refers to the study of Vedas because the Vedas are origin of all knowledge, Vidya, and Rataha means those engaged. Vidyayam Rataha means those engaged in the study of Vedas. The so-called students of Vedas are condemned here because they are ignorant of actual purpose of the Vedas on account of the disobeying of the acharyas. Prabhupada gives a refers here the purpose that why the tadvidi praripatena pariprashtena sevaya adikshant te jnanam jnanena stapta darshana, that how should one seek knowledge? One should seek knowledge by approaching to a guru, teaching a guru. Why Prabhupada has to give this instruction to the modern society? So search for a guru and go to that guru. You know, our approach towards our teacher is extremely bad. With today's student, their approach towards their teacher is extremely bad. They don't really value the teachers the same way people used to value 30 years ago, 50 years ago. So Prabhupada writes a very practical tip that go to them, tadvidi pranipatena, pay obeisances to them, render some service to them, and then make inquiry from them. And these people, as we have seen, they have been engaged in the devotion, loving devotional service of Krishna, have been given blessings by Krishna. They have special mercy by Krishna, special knowledge, intelligence by Krishna, Vadami Buddhi Yogam Tvam, by which now they know how to go back to Krishna. So if they know how to go back to Krishna, if they are merciful enough to me, they will share with me how I can also go back to Krishna. And that is the reason why we need to get connected with an acharya who is in parampara, who is personally practicing the same knowledge that he is teaching. There's no variation, there's no difference. Then only we can be successful in our endeavors on the spiritual path. We'll summarize Vidya and Avidya as explained in this mantra. Both engage one in sense gratification only. Hence, both are condemned in this verse. Primary reason for it to happen is exclusion of proper spiritual education in the modern education system. Those who claim to know Vedas also take only those parts of Vedas which provide information on the increasing the quality and quantity of sense gratification, ignoring those parts which help one attain liberation. Mayavadis or impersonalists who aim themselves to be God, who claim themselves to be God, also exclude God from the teachings, and hence they don't benefit, also as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. Let me see the verse. मोघशामोघ कर्माणो मोघ ज्ञाना विचेतसः राक्षसी असुरी चैव प्रकृति मोहिनीश्वता. So that is the reason. Another beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita 6.16.8. Asatyam apratishtham te jagad Jagat ahur anishwaram. Anishwaram means Jagat is without Ishvara. Aparasparam sambhuto. Aparaspara asambhuto. Kim anyam. Kim anyat kama hetukam. Means they say that this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. This is 16.8. So that is what you are left with if you only take modern education, ignoring spiritual aspect, excluding spiritual aspects, and this way, you will end up living a very horrible life. Even if you get your desires fulfilled, you will have hundreds and thousands more desires produced by your mind, which will never be able to fulfill. And even if you don't get your desires fulfilled, then you will anyway you will anyway suffer due to the various stress, anxiety, and other issues, mental health issues. Either way, you are miserable. Either way, you are miserable because uh, that is just the nature. The godlessness will create in you. That is how. That is what you will be left with if you become godless. So, Prabhupada writes, the Mayavadis or impersonalists who claim themselves to become God also exclude God from the teachings and hence can't benefit as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Advice for us is to hold on to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and sincerely practice devotional service to attain Krishna in this one lifetime itself. Hold on to the teachings of Prabhupada, sincerely practice devotional service, sincerely hear Krishna Katha, sincerely chant Krishna's name, sincerely serve in the mission in the best way we can, for the pleasure of our senior devotees, our Guru and Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. For their act for their pleasure. And if we do that, our life can become can get perfected and we can go back to Krishna in one lifetime. We can remember Krishna 24/7 and we can remember by his mercy, we can remember him also at the time of death and we can go back to Krishna. So this is what we learn we have to do from this particular verse. Opportunities for us to remember Krishna comes in the japa session in the morning and the reading session in the evening. So Bhakti Prabhuji confirmed that we completed reading of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, and now we are starting with first canto. Prabhuji himself wants to join the reading sessions soon, so hopefully we will have more traction in this evening reading as well. I will request Prabhuji to join morning japa session also, so more people join the japa session as well, and more people benefit by collectively chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. For cultivating nice consciousness during the day and purifying our heart in the process. We'll wait for some questions and answer. And, we'll see before we conclude today's session.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. Thank you very much for uh, this information that Narottam Prabhuji will be starting to join. Hopefully, if I heard it right, that he'll be joining Japa session, and then it will be very, very beneficial because his presence actually creates wonderful auspiciousness in the Japa session, and he comes with some instruction that gives more attentiveness. And regarding this verse, I actually the phrase you mentioned, avidya upasate, that is actually I was contemplating on that maybe that not to the greater extent, but to some extent this avidya upasate is going on, and ultimately that is consuming a lot of energy or more extent of energy which can be utilized or can be diverted towards the consciousness of Lord or towards serving devotees. So that was actually very useful in today's session to understand that And what I always perceive is that whatever you are teaching is how much it can go in our life, or how much beneficial, how much practically we can try to implement this in our life, and ultimately we find a great scope. But since this is not going to happen in one day, but that is why I'm always thankful to you that you are giving the constant association on daily basis, and sorry, on this weekly basis, and you are and graining our knowledge with such wonderful nectar, so that we can become more and more conscious about Lord. So thank you very much for, as Srila Prabhupada always says, that association of devotees is very, very important. And you are showing that by your practical example through such wonderful teachings of the Shastras, which are not easy to understand. But when those are spoken by devotees, that those can be understood in a greater extent, to the greater extent. So thank you very much for investing your wholehearted energy into teaching us, so that we can go to the correct understanding and not the Vedvadrata, as you mentioned. So thank you very much,
Yes, it's
Prabhuji, for
very
your wonderful endeavor.
difficult to comprehend scriptures on our own, and hence the assistance, we should take assistance. We are fortunate to have Sri Prabhupada books, and just by reading those, we can make sense out of these otherwise incomprehensible scriptures, especially the Ishopanishad, Sri Ishopanishad, even Bhagavad Gita. It's very difficult to follow. So I can see a lot of comments in the chat section, which I actually forgot to pick up during the discussion, but I'm extremely sorry. Any one of those wants to say anything, with comments they want to speak in public, we can, otherwise I'll take a look at these and I can send them individual messages if need be. But thank you all for participation. Thank you all for contributing in the group discussion. And I hope it was useful to make sense related with our life, related with our education that what we are taking, and seeing the gap. The objective is to not condemn the modern education, but to highlight the lack of Krishna consciousness in that, lack of how we are excluding God and making it as if appearing that it is without God. This whole thing is working without God. So godlessness is the issue. If you accept God, we can utilize every scientific invention to glorify God. That will be the best way we can serve the science, as well as we can serve Krishna simultaneously. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll continue with this section with more interesting verses coming up in the second section. In the next Sunday, we'll try and complete both the verses, verse 10 and verse 11, and then we move forward in the short process study. Thank you everyone for joining again. We have a very nice, safe week ahead. To join Japa session, chant every day, read every day, stay in connected with devotees every day. At least speak with somebody so that they can remind us that we have to chant, they can remind us we have to read, and they can remind us we have to remain Krishna conscious, not just on Sundays, not just on Saturdays, but throughout the week, every day, every moment to the extent possible. So thank you for your time, and we will meet next Sunday.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Dandavat
Dandavat
Pranam.
Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.